It's
fine.
When you unmuted me, it popped up and it was like the host would like you to speak now. I was like, wow, thanks for the permission, Kacie.
I have the power.
My trailer park is showing.
Hello, welcome.
Hello.
The dudes with boots. I love it.
How's your mood?
My mood, it's good. It's different, but similar to another mood that we had in the past.
Oh,
because it's one of those murdery true crime moods, you know.
Ooh.
I love those. We both have a couple stories that are, I don't know what yours is, but I'm excited to hear it. You know what mine is, but you've never heard of it?
Yeah, I don't know the story, so I'm excited to hear it.
Okay, and you want me to go first? Are you sure?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to make this not as long as like my notes because it's kind of crazy.
These are always so long.
I know, and I can't help it. I just go in. Like I just want every detail. But
and I want to apologize in advance. My story might be kind of everywhere. My notes are just because it was like a last minute change that I was excited about, and I was like,
no, but that's good. That's good. I think it'll be fine. It'll make it more exciting. I feel like you're like you just learned about it like recently
today.
So it'll be fresh. So you seem all excited. So I'm excited. You're excited. I'm excited. Let's do this. My story.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, be about Katherine Knight. And I'm gonna give it away at the beginning just because it's a fun fact. She is the first Australian woman to be sentenced to life without parole. So that's
fun.
Yeah.
So she's not the one that was murdered.
No. As you can see, she was the yeah, you'll see, but obviously that kind of gives it away that she was like the villain in this story. Although there's quite a few. Also, little trigger warning. This does slightly talk about like sexual assault and obviously like with true crime you have like the true crime stuff like murder and stuff like that. Yeah. So, but sometimes
viewer discretion advised.
Exactly. There you go. If you don't like that kind of stuff,
maybe
MA for sure.
MA. All right.
Yeah, that's our rating.
Must be good.
Ooh. Okay. All right. So we're gonna start with before Katherine was even born. We're gonna talk about her mom real quick. Because it has a lot to do with how Katherine grew up when she was born. So her mother, Barbara Rowan, had been married to Jack Rowan in a very small conservative town in Australia. I think it's called Aberdeen. I didn't write it down, but I'm pretty sure it was Aberdeen, wherever that is. She had 4 sons with Jack. And during that time when she was in a relationship with Jack, she was having an adulterous relationship with Jack's coworker and friend. I know. His name was Ken Knight. So that's Katherine's dad eventually. Basically, this relationship that she was having with her husband's coworker ended up making her and her kin that she was having an affair with move from the town because it was small conservative. People don't like cheating, that kind of stuff. Ruining the sanctity of marriage. Yeah. So they left town. None of the sons went. The 2 eldest sons stayed with their dad, and the 2 youngest went to live with an aunt. So the mom just skipped town on the
everybody.
Kids. Yeah, her whole family. Everybody.
How nice.
Yeah. So Ken Knight, that is the guy she had the affair with. When they moved, she had 4 more children with Ken. So at this point, she's had 8 kids. Okay,
she's so
insane. Yeah, a little bit. 2 of these children were twin girls, and one of them was Katherine Knight. She was born in 1955. And I think the other 2 children were boys, which it's kind of important, but whatever. When Knight was 4, her mom's first husband passed away. And so the eldest sons that lived with them back in Aberdeen came to live with their mom and Ken. And then obviously the children that they had. So they were all living together. Six kids, the 2 adults. So Ken was an alcoholic and was very violent and used intimidation, classic abuse. This is where it gets kind of bad because he would rape Katherine's mom up to like 10 times a day. Yeah, it's bad. Barbara, because of this, was very mentally unwell, and she would often share her sex life with her daughters, like the details. And so she was clearly like mentally messed up, and like that's not something you talk to your kids about, but she did. And that probably adds to the fact that Katherine herself was a little bit messed up, a lot messed up. And so it just, that's where some of the stuff stems from. But she would like tell her daughters all about her sex life. She would claim to hate men, hate sex, and just like complain all the time, and it was not good. One time when Katherine was 11 years old, she went to her mom to talk about one of her partners, which, you're 11, why do you have a partner?
Like a little like middle school boyfriend, or like was she fucking
no,
this person?
because she went to her mom to tell her that her partner wanted to perform a sexual act that she did not, and that like he was kind of pushing her into it, and her mom was like, well, you should stop complaining and just put up with it, because that's what she does. Yeah.
Do you know what it was?
The sexual act? I do not. No. They didn't go into like super big detail. And it gets a little like convoluted and confusing, and very, what it seems like is very bad. Basically, Knight was sexually abused by most of her family, which I'm guessing are the boys of the family, up until she was like 11, but not by her father. That was just a point that they made. Like, the father didn't do anything to her, but like
just the mom.
Clearly,
he only raped the mom.
Yeah, he just did stuff with the mom. Clearly, he has some kind of boundaries.
What a guy.
But yeah, so she definitely was not in a very like good household. Her whole childhood was pretty traumatic. Well, okay, so they ended up moving back to Aberdeen because one of the things about Barbara, Knight's mom, was that she was like a native Australian, and like apparently there's some racist people that like don't like the native people, and so yeah, they moved back to Aberdeen due to some racist stuff that was going on, and it caused like a lot of tension with the family and the children. At this point, when they moved back, Knight was going to high school. She was, so this is where it gets a little confusing, because she was like known as a bully, and like she would like assault smaller children, just like, I'm guessing like beat them up and stuff. She had like a rage problem, but when she wasn't like raging, she was known for her like good behavior, and she had like really good grades, and like, so I'm really, that part's confusing, because it's like maybe like she was bipolar, that type of thing, like maybe she had split personality disorder. Yeah, right, exactly. Well, she left high school at 15. At that point she had not learned how to read or write, which I don't know how they passed her along to high school where she didn't know how to read or write. But
wait, how long ago was this again? What year?
She was born in 55, so at this point it would have been like
the 60s,
the
70s.
60s. Yeah.
I feel like at that point like they made it like a mandatory thing that you had to know how to read and write.
Yeah,
I
I
could
don't
be
know what
wrong though.
happened there, but I mean, it's one of those things where maybe she was like a problem child and they just like passed her along because like
They
I'm not
felt
gonna
bad
get
for
in.
her.
Yeah, they just were like, like we don't really want to deal with her, so we're just going to pass her
Oh
along as
yeah,
much as we can because there's no,
get rid of her sooner.
which is something that like in the Chicago public school system, it's something that happens a lot with kids. They get passed along and then like they don't have the skills they need at the time they need them, and it's really bad. So
I
I
feel
feel
like
like that's what happened, but
I feel like that happens everywhere.
yeah,
Do you
I
remember
mean a
some of
lot
the
of
kids
school
we went
systems
to
are like
high
that.
school with?
Yes, I do. Let's not relive those years.
Oh my gosh.
So after she left high school, she worked as a cutter at a clothing facility. I don't know what that means, but it's in Australia, they have different job titles for positions that we would call something else here. So that's what
Okay.
it was called there. But she worked there for 12 months and then she left that job for what she described as her dream job, cutting offal at an abattoir, which is a slaughterhouse. She would like cut the like intestines and stuff is like the offal. That's what that, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but that's what
That's
it
disgusting. So
was.
her
Yeah.
dream job was to gut livestock.
Yep, basically. And
Okay.
she was really good at it. So she quickly got promoted to what is called boning. Um, so sorry. Stop. Get your mind out the gutter. Um, but yeah, she got promoted, which meant she was provided with her own set of butcher knives. Fun fact, up until her incarceration, anywhere she lived, she would keep those knives hanging above her bed, in case she needed them. Yeah,
Just in case.
she's a little crazy, man. She's crazy. All right. So now we're getting to like adult night. The first person that she had a relationship with was a guy named David Kellet. He was also an alcoholic. Um, it stemmed from two traumatic incidents he had at previous railway jobs. One of which he lost his best friend in a shunting accident. I don't know what shunting is, but yeah, something to do with trains. And the other one, he rescued some occupants of a school bus that had been hit by a train, but that train killed 6 children. So both traumatic, and that was like the reasoning behind his alcoholism. So Kellet and Knight got married in 1974, which was a year later after they met. I just want to put in here, her mother said this to Kellet as advice on the day of their marriage. So in quotes, the old girl, Knight's mother, said to me to watch out. You better watch this one or she'll fucking kill you. Stir her up the wrong way or do the wrong thing and you're fucked. Don't ever think of playing up on her, which means cheating on her. She'll fucking kill you. And that was her mother talking. She told me she's got something loose. She's got a few screws loose somewhere. That was like, I think that was Kellet recollecting like what the mother had said, but
Yeah.
yeah,
That's kind of
goes to show,
funny. I mean, not
yeah,
funny, but like
but
she
yeah.
wasn't wrong.
She wasn't wrong, but her and her mom were both like, the reason Knight was so crazy was probably because her mother was insane and her dad was born insane and all kinds of stuff. So the night of their wedding, Knight tried to strangle Kellet because he had fallen asleep after they had only had sex 3 times. Right, exactly. Window rape.
Okay. Only
She has
3.
issues. Only 3. She needed a 4th to
Relatable.
feel loved. The marriage between Kellet and Knight was particularly violent, clearly. It started out that way. One night, Knight had burnt all of Kellet's clothes and hit him in the head with a frying pan because he came home late from a darts competition. He fled to a neighbor's house and collapsed, and police were called. but Knight convinced him to drop the charges somehow. And that's like it's a reoccurring theme throughout the story. Like, she's really good at just
She
convincing
is
people.
a textbook abuser.
She is, and it's
That's
insane, dude.
that
She's
kind
insane.
of pisses me off.
Yeah, it gets worse. In 1976, shortly after the birth of their first daughter, Kellet left Knight for another woman because he was obviously being abused. The sad thing is he did not take his daughter with him. He left his daughter in the care of her, and after she had the baby, she was diagnosed with postnatal depression. And after recovering for several weeks in an institution / hospital, she was released. She proceeded to place her infant daughter on train tracks of a train that she knew was coming. And she left her there, went into town after stealing an axe, and was threatening to kill a bunch of people. So she was not stable.
Clearly.
Thankfully, some guy that was foraging near the train tracks, he was known as Old Ted in the town.
Ted.
He rescued the daughter minutes
Yay.
before the train showed up. So the daughter
We all
lived.
deserve an Old Ted in our life.
I know, exactly. If only we all had Old Teds, just to at least give us one good saving, like, in our lifetime. You know what I mean?
Everybody gets one.
Everybody gets one Old Ted. The name of all the angels that, like, you know, whatever.
They're all Ted.
They're all just Old Ted.
Oh God.
Oh, okay, yeah. So Knight was arrested and taken to the hospital, where she signed herself out the following day. How that happened, she was clearly not in, like, police should have been overlooking her while she was in the hospital because she just signed herself out.
But like, was she being physically treated?
I think so. That's what it sounded like. Unless it could have been like a mental institution that she signed herself out of. Either way, she was able to sign herself out.
Yeah.
And I don't know how the rules work in Australia, so that could have been very easy, you know.
I keep forgetting it's in Australia.
Yeah, sometimes I forget too, so it's cool. So following this, after she left the hospital, she slashed a woman's face and forced her to drive to Queensland to find Kellet, because that's where Kellet moved when he left her for that other lady. The lady had escaped at a service station that they, I guess, were driving by or something, and police were called. Knight took a young boy that was at the service station hostage, and she finally was disarmed when the police attacked her with brooms, which I just think that's hilarious. It's like, stop that.
Like a cat, like, get
right. Jesus Christ, like spraying her with water, like trying to stop her. Jesus.
We're just like
God. Anyways, the boy I don't think was harmed or anything.
I hope not, because we're here making light of it.
Right. When she was apprehended by the police, she had told them that she had plans to kill the mechanic at the service station because he had repaired Kellet's car, and basically was the reason that he left her. Because yeah, exactly. And basically she was gonna go to Queensland to kill Kellet and her mother. This made me so mad in the story.
Oh God.
Upon Kellet being notified of the situation, he left his girlfriend, moved to Aberdeen with his mom, and Knight was released later in 1976 and put into the care of her mother-in-law, which is his mom. And so all of them moved to a new town called Ipswich, and that was all to support Knight. Like, he left his, probably more stable relationship to care for someone who tried to kill him multiple times.
Okay.
Crazy. Yeah. So I just was like, everyone's just enabling her
murderous
intentions. Okay, so they, her and Kellet had another daughter in 1983. The first
Wait,
daughter, so it never really like said this in the line of events, like if the first daughter was just completely like put into foster care and like
did
never to
Ted
be
keep
seen
her?
again. Huh? Oh,
Did Ted keep her?
I don't think Ted kept her.
Why not?
He's too busy foraging. You don't got time for
Foraging for
babies.
what? I forgot to
I
ask.
don't know. Whatever you
He's like
forage
digging
for my train
around.
tracks. He's like, I'm gonna find the treasure
He's like,
someday.
berries.
Lives his life on
Oh my
berries and
god.
nuts. I'm sorry. Okay, so I don't know if they have the other daughter or not, but they had another daughter in 1983. And then in 1984, Knight actually left Kellet and returned to Aberdeen and moved in with her parents. And so she left him and it didn't say why. She just like even after him leaving his relationship to take care of her when she was crazy and murderous, she left him.
She was like, "You're not allowed to leave me, but I'm gonna leave you."
Exactly. She wants all the power. Um, she did return to work at the original slaughterhouse in Aberdeen, but she injured her back, and so she was placed on disability, and then she was placed in public housing. Um, so she no longer had to live with her parents or her parent. So that moves on to the next relationship that she had with a man called David Saunders. And I'm so sorry if this is long. Okay, David Saunders. This relationship she met in 1986. After a few months, him and his daughters all moved in with her, but he still kept his apartment. And she would often throw him out, but she would follow him back to his apartment and beg him to come back. So it was just always this thing of him leaving or getting kicked out and then her being like, no, no, come back. I didn't mean that,
Oh
that
my
whole thing.
god. Yeah.
In 1987, she slit the throat of his dog in front of him as a warning to what would happen if he cheated on her and knocked him unconscious with a frying pan. Frying pans are her weapon of choice constantly.
Clearly.
I say people.
Wait, so she slit his throat. I mean, slit the dog's throat and then knocked out the dude.
Yeah, she's
Okay.
insane.
The
And
fuck. Okay.
apparently this is still not enough to make a man leave her, because in 1988 she gave birth to a third daughter. After they had their daughter, Saunders put a deposit down on a house. And then when Knight got some check for being like disabled or that kind of thing, she finished out the deposit and she decorated every space of the house with like animal traps and skulls and all these leather things, and it was just like really intense. She left like no space uncovered.
God.
Very creepy. After an argument Knight had with Saunders, she hit him in the face with an iron and stabbed him in the abdomen with scissors. He then moved back to Scone, which is where his original apartment was. So he left her. Well, he still had the house with her and stuff, but he did go back to his apartment. Upon returning to Aberdeen, at some point, he found all his clothes cut up, and so he took a long service leave. I don't know what that means, but he left for a long time. Knight did try to find him, but she couldn't. And then finally, when Saunders did return to see his daughter, he found out that Knight had went to the police saying she was afraid of him, and they issued a apprehended violence order against him. So he wasn't allowed to see her or his daughter, which is very sad. And that's pretty I know. And that's pretty much all. That's where it ended with Saunders. Like there's no more mention of him, so he's out of the picture now. She met a man named John Chillingworth in 1997. So this is like 10 years later, and she had become pregnant with a son. She was with this man for 3 years before leaving him for John Price, whom she had been having an affair with basically their entire relationship. So just to show that she is still a piece of shit. This John Price fella, he already had 3 kids, one of which lived with his former wife and 2 lived with him. Price was aware of Knight's violence when she moved in with him in 1995. So I just want to back up a little just because she became pregnant with John Chillingworth's child in 1997. She moved in with this other guy in 1995. So she was like doing stuff with both of them for a while. And it's within like that 3
Jesus.
years. But I just wanted to point that out. But yeah,
I didn't
Price
even
was
put it together.
I know. When I was reading it, I saw that and I like had to go back and I was like, this either doesn't make sense or she was just like doing both of them at the same time, which makes sense for the story. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
I guess it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But yeah. So Price, was aware of Knight's violent reputation when he moved in with her. But apart from their violent arguments, he described life as a bunch of roses. He was actually like, he had a good reputation with people. Like, he was a pretty nice guy, pillar of the community type of guy. But he has bad taste in women, clearly.
Yes.
So, yeah. At one point, they fought over Price's refusal to marry her, and in retaliation, she videotaped a bunch of items that Price had taken from a rubbish bin at work, and sent it to his boss. So he had like taken things that weren't actually going to be used or anything like that.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, technically you're probably not supposed to do that, but it's not like he was actually hurting anybody. But she made it
Right.
seem like he stole stuff and his boss didn't have any choice but to fire him. And like, he
So
loved that
fucked
job.
up.
That's very fucked up. He was fired and Price kicked her out of his house.
Good.
He then restarted the relationship a few months later, and basically his reputation was ruined because no one liked her. Like, everyone was like, she's crazy, like, you need to stay away from her, but he wouldn't. And so he lost like all his friends because of it. So this brings us to 2000, which is a little more, we're getting more recent. She actually stabbed him in the chest, and he once again, that made him kick her out of the house. On his way to work, after that had happened, he had stopped by the court to take out a restraining order on her for him and his children. His coworkers were like pleading with him not to return home because they were afraid that she was going to do something very bad if he did. But he kind of had to because his children were there, like just back to the house, like where his kids were. They were, because Knight didn't actually live there after he kicked her out.
Okay.
So that was his home with his children. She no longer lives there, and they were like, "Don't go back to your house." After like she had stabbed him. Yeah, she knows where it is. Like, she's mentally unstable. But he was like, my kids are there. I have to go back. Like, I can't just not. So after work, he returned home to find that Knight had actually sent his children, or their children, his children, all of them, to a sleepover. And she wasn't in the home either. So he came to an empty house. And so he went over to the neighbors to be with them for a bit. Oh, and then he went to bed at 11. So he went over to the neighbors, came back, went to bed, empty house. Earlier that day, Knight had went and bought black lingerie for something. You'll see later. And she videotaped her children while saying what can be interpreted as a crude will. So basically, like, like telling the children, like, you get this when whoever dies, you get this, like, just
okay.
Yeah, very creepy and weird and like unsettling. And that was earlier in the day before she sent them away. So later, she arrived at Price's house after he went to sleep. She watched TV for a few minutes, she took a shower, and then she woke him up. They had sex, and then he went back to sleep. At 6 a.m. the next day, the neighbor was concerned because Price's car was still in the driveway, and he usually would have left for work by then. He didn't arrive at work, and so a coworker was sent to check on him because obviously they know everything that's going on. Both the neighbor and the worker tried knocking on his bedroom window, and then the front door had blood on it. They noticed, so they called the police. The police arrived at 8 a.m. and they broke down the back door and they found Price's body. And they also found Knight She was comatose because she had taken a bunch of pills. So going back to what actually happened that night, she stabbed him while he was sleeping and he woke up, and then he like tried to escape. And that's why there was blood on the front door, because he had tried to leave, and then she somehow, stabbed him, dragged him back in, did something, but he got back in the house. And he basically was stabbed at least 37 times. And so he died from bleeding out. And that's what the autopsy had shown. Later, after he had died, at some point she had went into Aberdeen and withdrew $1,000 from his bank account, which I don't even know why she did that. Like, just listen to the next things she did after she withdrew $1,000 from his bank account. She came back. It's very gruesome. So
God.
she
Let's hear it.
skinned him, and hung the skin from a meat hook in the house. She then decapitated him and cooked parts of his body with various vegetables and put them at 2 settings on the dining room table. Each plate had a little note next to it, and the note had like the name of one of the children on it. So she was planning on feeding that to the kids. And there was also a plate that they had found that was like sprawled out in the backyard, which they think that she might have tried to eat, but then couldn't and like threw it outside. But that's just speculation. I don't know if she ever like admitted to that, or I feel like they said that, but
Wouldn't put it past her.
Yeah, it's very gross and very gruesome and disgusting. Price's head was found in a big pot with vegetables and was still warm, so it was clear that she had done this like all in the morning and like was cooking him and that kind of thing. And there was also a note that was left on a picture of Price by his body, and it read, which I wish you could see this because this goes to show that she has no idea how to spell or write or anything. But it read, "Time got you back, Jonathan, for raping my daughter. You to Beck, Price's daughter, for Ross, for Little John. Now play with Little John's dick, John Price." Which none of those accusations she said about him were true. They found out like he did not do that to the daughter or anything, and none of that like made sense. She was just clearly unstable. The trial, which I believe was it was in 2001. She initially was trying to plead guilty to manslaughter, but thankfully that was rejected because it was not manslaughter. She then pleaded non-guilty, but she did end up changing her plea to guilty. After many psych evaluations, they tried to plead insanity on the grounds of amnesia and disassociation. Luckily, this was rejected. She outright denied all responsibility for her actions. At one point, they were trying to get her out of the courtroom during the point where they were like explaining all of her actions and what actually happened to Price. But the judge made them keep her in the courtroom, and upon hearing it, like she went ballistic, like not like she just went into like hysteria, like crazy screaming, like it, yeah,
like screaming, like crying, like
no,
she was sad,
like no, like from
excited?
what it made it sound like, it was angry, like she just like went into a rage, like like saw red, blacked out, like she was just, it made no sense, but she was.
But it doesn't make any sense. Right. Was she mad about like what she had done? No, she's insane. She doesn't have empathy. I don't know. Jesus.
I don't think there's a reason behind it. I think she just like most of her actions are just like bananas. Exactly. She was given life imprisonment without parole in 2001, which she appealed in 2006, but it was denied. So
thank God.
As far as I know, she's still in prison. I didn't like look up to see like if she's still there or if she died or if anything happened to her. But as far as I know, she's still there, like she's supposed to be.
Good.
And that's the story of Katherine Knight. Jesus. It was a doozy. It was crazy, dude. I read this and I was just like, every moment my jaw was dropping. I was like, she did what? Like, these men did what? They're going back to her. Like, what is happening?
Like, imagine being one of her exes and being like, shit, I thought I really didn't dodge a bullet when she stabbed me in my abdomen, but I sure did dodge a bullet because she did not cook my head like a pot roast. Like,
right. Exactly.
Oh my god.
Jesus. Yeah. So I'm surprised the other men got away without being like brutally murdered, but I guess it's a good thing she only murdered one person when it could have been a lot of others, because she sounds like she had the potential to, like, she definitely was, it seemed like she was trying to with the other guys, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she definitely could have murdered them if it had went sideways.
God damn. I mean, even the first one where she was like, we haven't had sex enough and strangled.
Yeah, that was her first marriage.
Oh my god.
Yeah, she was
I don't know
what
to
crazy.
say. Like,
there's nothing to say, man. She's where she should be, in prison, and she's crazy. And she probably, I don't know. I like want to say like people that have this kind of issues can work through them, but like I don't think like there's working through those problems.
I don't know.
I'm not a doctor, but
I feel like, I wonder if she was like vocal about how, she got the job at the slaughterhouse or whatever. And what did she say? Like, tell her friends and family, like, this is my dream job. Like, I'm so excited. I get to cut the guts out. Like,
I assume that like she talked about it. It's because they described it as being her dream job. So at some point, like, she had to have told at least someone that was, or else that I feel like information wouldn't be out there unless they just lied. But
was it not like a weird thing to them that would be somebody's dream job? Am I just closed-minded? Like, I don't understand.
I don't know. In that case, I feel like it should have raised
hella
a few
flags.
Yeah, because like there was no, like, I mean, I can get it if like maybe like your family has a long line of butchers and like you grew up around it, and like that's that makes more sense. But it was just kind of random, and like it didn't make any sense why she would choose that as her dream job. But
I mean, I guess maybe it did like fulfill some of her whatever she craved, because like she sounds like she textbook should have been a serial killer.
Yeah, no, exactly. I feel like if she hadn't been caught, which I don't think she was, like, honestly, I don't think she was smart enough to be a serial killer. A lot of serial killers are very strategic and like good at hiding things, and I just don't think that was her. She was very loud and like just like outright crazy, like to most people. So
oh my gosh,
that's crazy. But I'd like to move away from this crazy lady and hear about what you got for me, because I don't know what you're gonna talk about. So I'm wiggling.
Some more crazies.
Yeah.
Okay, this one is a lot more recent. This took place in 2017. Okay. Do you
like
know?
That. Well, I don't like that, but
Do you know the story of Sydney Loofe?
I do not.
Okay, so Sydney Loofe was a 24-year-old. Okay, she was just a normal 24-year-old. She was a clerk. She was like the head clerk at a retail store.
Oh, okay.
Home improvement store. Okay. So she wasn't like a fuck up. She she had a job, she had her own place, and she had a cat. Okay, this sounds stupid, but it's important. She loved that cat. She's like, it was her baby. Okay. So Sydney, 24. She's blonde hair, blue eyes, like the textbook girl next door. But of course, it's 2017. So as was a lot of singles, she was on Tinder. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. She matched with a lady named Audrey. She was really excited about Audrey. She told her friends about her. I can't talk either. She showed her picture to her friends. Okay.
That's good.
You know,
At least
showing
she
her
was
off like,
telling
oh,
people. Yeah.
yes.
I
Yes.
feel like that's important. You're making it seem like it's really important. So emphasis.
Okay, so she actually went on a successful date with Audrey.
Okay. Ooh.
And everybody made it home. Everybody was good. She really liked her. She was excited for date number 2. Okay, which, listen, a few years back, you remember, I was on Tinder. This is like my worst. It was my worst nightmare. Like,
I mean, that's a lot of people. It's scary. It can be.
It's terrifying. And like, I feel like, I don't know, it makes me question all the time. Not all the time, but like every time that you think like, oh, I already met them, everything's good. They didn't kill me. You know, like everything's fine. They're normal.
It's not,
Okay.
Good at putting up a front, clearly.
Yes. So just a couple days later, they went on another date. Okay. Before that date, Sydney had actually posted on Snapchat, like her outfit, like, oh, I'm ready for my date. She put it on her story, and her mom saw it and she screenshot it just out of curiosity because she was gonna be like, oh, you didn't tell me you were going on a date, because her mom was, they lived like I think over 100 miles away from each other at this point, so they didn't see each other every day. Gotcha. So she went on this second date, and then what do you know? She doesn't show up for work the next morning.
No.
Yeah. So everyone's like, and apparently that was like super out of the norm for her. Like, if she was gonna be late, she was calling off, like she made it known. So that was already weird enough. And then nobody could get a hold of her, including her mom. So her mom like put out a missing persons report, and her friends were super worried too because nobody had heard from her. So they went to her apartment. Her car was still there, and her cat was there. The cat was hungry, and they were like, she would never like leave the cat long enough to, you know, they were like, something's wrong. And so it's reported that one of her friends was actually pretty sus because she knew she was going on this date. Okay, this friend had already seen this girl's picture, like Audrey's picture. She knew she was going out with her, so she made a Tinder. She had the similar settings, like to try to find this Audrey girl, and they matched. Okay, and
that's a good friend.
I know, Kacie. Obviously, I'm locked down now, but if I had ever gone missing and you knew I was on a Tinder date, I would hope you would do the same for me.
Of course, you know. I'm meeting people on Bumble. Maybe it'll go sideways. Maybe you'll need to move to Chicago and make some friends here so you can get to the bottom of it, Taylor.
I will go full force.
This is a verbal contract we're making, okay? We're in it for the long run.
Please don't go missing. That sounds like a lot of work. I'm kidding.
Wow. Okay.
I'm kidding.
I forgot you're a lazy bum.
I am. So this friend is talking to Audrey, and she manipulates her into giving her phone number. Woo! You know, it's 2017. You can do a lot. You can find out a lot with somebody's phone number.
You can. Address or addresses, past, everything. You can just find out a bunch of stuff for sure.
Or real names.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes. The friend did do the research, but she ultimately, you know, gave the information to the police as she should. So they found out that this Audrey was actually Bailey Boswell, and she was 23.
That's such a killer name. Like, not a killer name, Bailey? Not like a good name. No, wait, Bailey Bosley?
Boswell. Bailey
Boswell.
Boswell.
Bailey Boswell. It just sounds like bad news. I don't know. Something about it. Like, if I saw that name in the papers, it would be because they killed somebody. Yeah.
Well, so we're gonna like flash sideways here for a second, okay? Forget about Sydney. Okay, so Bailey lived with her boyfriend Aubrey, who was 51.
Okay.
The same morning that everyone had noticed that Sydney had gone missing, Bailey and Aubrey's landlord was like, "Hey, your place reeks of bleach. What the fuck's going on in there?"
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh God. Audrey. It's just very close
and her
to
boyfriend's
Aubrey.
name is Aubrey. I know.
Yeah. I mean, you would think that seems a little like I mean, obviously she's clearly on Tinder to do something bad, right? And so
maybe
the person that she's doing these things with has like a close name to your like alias or whatever you call it. It's just weird to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. It is weird. I don't know.
It makes me. She's like, rookie move. Rookie serial killer move.
Agreed. Damn it, Bailey. Miss Boswell. Okay. So these people are just weird. Like, just straight up weird. They did enjoy group sex with other women, which, as long as you're not hurting anybody, do your thing. Yeah. But Aubrey claimed to be a vampire.
Oh God.
He could fly.
He's one of those.
Yes. He could fly. And Bailey, what do you know? She's a vampire. She just happens to be a witch. Like, it's crazy.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
And they both said, like, later on, that they have gained more powers by killing people.
Okay. So they're just delusional. Clearly.
They're bizarre. Okay.
Yeah. Did you say he could fly? Like, he claimed he could fly, like, through the air? He claimed
he could fly.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that's what you said.
Yes.
You can go on.
They were also con artists. Well, obviously. But they had a bunch of money because they conned this couple. It was some antique thing. I don't know. They got like $400,000.
Oh my God, that's a big con. Jesus.
That's a big con. Yes. So they also had a self-proclaimed sex cult. Okay.
So like one that they started themselves?
Yes.
That they like claimed to be in and stuff? That kind of thing?
No, they claimed like they owned a cult. They called it a cult themselves just because they wanted it to be
a thing. Yeah. I gotcha.
And in the cult, women would have sex with them or just one of them, doesn't matter, any of them, for $200 a week. Okay.
So they were prostitutes, apparently.
Yeah. Okay. Prostitute, just sugar daddy, like whatever you want to call it. Aubrey had to be called daddy.
Okay.
Bailey.
God.
The members had to call him daddy, or Bailey had to be called either mommy or
nope, don't like that.
Or mistress.
I don't like that either.
I think Queen Witch was one of them as well.
That's just super cringy. That's just like
yeah.
God.
I don't know who they claimed it to. I think it was the authorities later, but they claimed that people had hired, like, it was their job, like, instead of like being con men, they were hired to help fulfill people's sexual fantasies. for like $5,000 each, and that's why they had all the money, and that's how they could afford. That wasn't true.
Okay, I gotcha. It was just like a front for how
just
to
like an
explain
for how they
things.
had the money.
That makes sense.
So Bailey did admit to going on this date with Sydney. She said that she picked Sydney up, which she did. She said they hung out and that she dropped Sydney off at one of her friend's house. But the friend was like, no, she didn't, because she wasn't here. So the couple were caught on security, like, I don't remember if it was earlier in the day or the day before, but they were literally there, like, buying like a kill kit.
Oh God.
Like, they got a bunch of bleach. They
all
got
the things that would
pictures. They got literally everything you could think of.
That's not incriminating at all. Like,
yeah, no, not at all. It's not even a little sus. It's fine. I want to go back to the sex cult real quick. They told the members that if they wanted powers to, like how he was a vampire and she was a witch, if they wanted powers, they had to torture and kill women. So.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
I don't know. Okay, so using phone pings, they were able to find Sydney's body. Which was dismembered into 14 pieces.
Oh my God.
Numerous garbage bags.
No. Poor Sydney.
I know. And one of the pieces that were found was her arm specifically. Okay. She had a tattoo. That's how they were able to identify.
Gotcha.
But Sydney had some struggles with her mental health that she was working on. And this tattoo said, "Everything will be wonderful someday."
Oh no, that's so sad.
Isn't it?
She did not deserve that. She sounds like a good person.
I know.
God.
Some of her organs were never found, like organs. So did they think sell them, or?
Well, that could be actually accurate. I hope they didn't eat them. Use them in some kind of like potions in her big cauldron because she's some kind of weird witch.
Yes.
I wonder if they found the remains, like, was it like in the forest or in nature somewhere, as far as you know?
I think it was like along the road.
Because I'm wondering if like she was there for however long, if like, because animals will sometimes, if it's open, like if she's dismembered, animals could like go for the inside.
Yeah, but I feel like you'd be able to tell if like her abdominal wounds or whatever were like from bites rather than, you know.
I'm guessing if they didn't say that like outright, like, oh, animals probably did this, then that's probably not what happened.
It's probably been ruled out.
Yeah, that's the only reason they didn't say it. But yeah, no, that's gross.
One of the items that they were caught on camera buying was also a hacksaw. So also
so there you go. That's
needle nose pliers as well.
Ew. Okay, that does make it seem like because I feel like you wouldn't need needle nose pliers unless you were like taking things out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
or it makes for torture.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, that's disgusting.
Yeah. Her cause of death was ruled as suffocation. Along the road, like with her body parts, they also found other various items, such as like a dog leash and a dildo and just like other random like torture shit, sex toys, and like so they were already linked. They were persons of interest, and so the cops were like, okay, we found her here and here and here, and your place is covered, like, it stinks like bleach, and there was not a drop of blood. Like, they were careful. Like, literally, they said that you couldn't see like any. The only sign was that it was bleached to death.
Right.
So Aubrey claimed that her death was part of a sex party gone wrong, where he strangled her accidentally too much.
Don't buy it for a second. Right. No. After they told all their fucking little cult members that you have to kill people for powers.
Right.
Like, that doesn't add up to accidentally strangling anyone, you know? No, did that shit on purpose.
So, whatever. They were indicted and they were both on trial. They were both up for the death penalty. At one point during the trial, Aubrey gets mad at them saying like all these bad things that Bailey has done. Okay. So he yells, "Bailey is innocent and I curse you all." And then he cuts his throat on the stand.
Oh my god.
Like,
that's insane. What did he die?
Unfortunately, no. He lived, but he did spend most of his trial in the hospital.
That's so crazy.
Which I feel like was bad, because I feel like if he was able to stay there, like, he would have been able to make it worse on himself, because he was such a psycho.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Oh god. That's just funny.
What a weirdo.
Yeah, and I don't know what I would do. Like, I'm not surprised because of everything else you've told me about him. Like, the motherfucker thinks he can fly, so what did he think was gonna happen when he cuts his throat? But
do you think he's like a kid and he like goes around the house and he's like
he's like what, like Naruto running with his arms back, like, I'm flying. In his mind, he's just like off the ground. He's just up in the air. I don't know, man.
Oh my god. Okay. So he claimed that killing her wasn't planned or premeditated, despite the fact that the day before, and I mean either the day before or the day of, they were buying all that stuff and stuff to clean up. But it wasn't planned. I'm sure it was like just a just in case thing. Like, you never know how Tinder dates are gonna go.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, I feel like they should have known it from the beginning, because she was clearly using a fake name on a Tinder profile, like, for a reason, you know, like.
I feel like a lot of people like do it that aren't killers, though.
I just feel like in their case, like, after the fact that all this happened, going back to that, it just makes sense. Like,
yeah,
if she obviously, if none of this happened and she just was using a fake name on a Tinder profile, but she didn't have any connection to the case, then that wouldn't be like a thing. But I just feel like it all ties together.
Yeah, it all comes full circle.
Yeah.
So, the defense claimed that Sydney agreed to be filmed, participating in sexual I can't say the word, asphyxiation for pay. Okay. So her killing wasn't planned, so it was an accident then. But then Aubrey on the stand was like, yeah, that was a lie.
Wow.
All right. Also claiming that killing her wasn't planned. He said that Sydney wasn't down to do like the weird shit. I don't know what he was trying to say that she knew. He was saying, like, since she wasn't down, he figured that she was going to go tell the police or something. So he killed her to protect his lifestyle.
Right. So he's the one who's saying all this, like, on the stand now, just like coming out with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Spilling the beans.
It was planned. It was definitely planned.
Yeah. No.
Don't tell me it wasn't planned. So I don't really know much about Bailey's part in the trial, but I don't think that they were like linked to any other murders. Like, they claim to have killed people for powers and stuff, you know? Probably just some like weird fantasy that they both had and they just happened upon each other. Like,
and they just did it once and then got caught, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if they hadn't got caught, they definitely would have done it more. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah. But like, I wonder like if they knew like the other one was lying about killing, because you know how there's some people that like just can't help but lie and like they just believe it.
Yeah.
And, like they speak of it as it's their reality. Like I feel like they both were like that, and then intertwining that there's like no convince. I don't know. Anyways, so the jury only took 3 hours to deliberate, which is a very short time.
Yeah.
And they were both found guilty of murder in the first degree.
Okay. That's like the worst, right? That's like the worst kind of murder. Okay. I was confused. I always thought murder in the third degree was, but it makes sense to me now, but I used to be confused by it and be like, oh, the higher the degree, the worse.
Yes, the bigger the number, the bigger the murder.
Exactly. Oh God.
Don't know if I doubt it's been carried out since, no, it definitely hasn't, because I think the sentencing like just happened like a few months ago.
It makes sense. If this all happened in 2017, then
yeah, shit always takes forever.
Yeah. And with COVID and everything, I'm sure it put it.
Oh yeah,
things were slow as well for that.
But Aubrey was sentenced to death.
Okay.
And Bailey was sentenced to life without parole.
Okay, so they're honestly like, I'm not gonna get too much into like the death penalty and stuff, but I feel like people should have to spend their life in prison because I just feel like that's a lot worse than just like.
Some people thrive in prison.
That's true though. That's definitely true. Like that one girl that you talked about, Jodi Arias or whatever.
Yes, in her karaoke.
30, flirty, and thriving. Like.
My gosh. I also forgot. I'm sorry. This is important. I forgot. They claimed that they were gonna make a snuff film.
Okay. Is that one of those things where people get off on people dying? Or like duty and stuff?
It's like you record somebody dying or being raped or both. And so they were gonna sell that for $1 million.
$1 million. Jesus.
I don't know. I don't know the market range on snuff films, but I feel like that's a lot.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So I don't know if like that was why they killed her or why they were looking to kill somebody or if they just wanted to.
I feel like if that were the case, like if that was the reason, they would have found like a video camera.
But what if they were just trying to like, I don't know, never mind. That's
practice.
Dumb. What if, no, maybe practice, because they were like, we got to do it right. But like, maybe they were scared that she was going to tell somebody. Maybe they were trying to recruit her because they had all these other women that they were trying to be like, hey, we have to torture and kill people. Like, that's just how it is.
That's true. I mean,
so maybe like they were trying to like pull her in to be one of, maybe they were all supposed to like kill somebody and that was supposed to be the film, and like,
that's
you know,
true.
maybe it was just supposed to be a bunch of young women murdering somebody.
Definitely. You know? It could be a lot of different things. I feel like obviously those situations, the motive or like the reason behind it always has to be somewhat speculated. Like there's a lot of different ways that it could go because they're not, you know, they're not outright saying what actually happened. The only thing that can be proven is the murder that took place, but not really the reason behind it.
Moral of the story is if you're meeting somebody online, Kacie, always share your location with somebody. Just because the first time goes well doesn't mean the second time you're gonna come out alive.
So extra always careful.
Yeah, so careful. Always have some sort of Get a stun gun, little taser.
Yeah,
Get something. Protect yourself. Don't get in people's cars if you only met them once. I sound like an old lady now.
No, I mean, definitely there's a lot of precautions that people need to take or like just think about. That was good though. I never heard about that. I'm surprised too because it was so recent.
I know.
That was
That's
a good story though.
Fun.
Thanks for listening.
Yes. Bye.
Bye. See you next time.